Hello and welcome to the Trending Now podcast for this Friday, November 8th, 2024. I'm Louie Butko. Thank you for joining us as we recap the week that was on Trending Now, which you can catch every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. on chch.com, and streaming live on our Trending Now YouTube page. Coming up on today's show, Donald Trump is heading back to the White House. The 45th president of the United States will be the 47th president after defeating Vice President Kamala Harris in what's being described as a landslide victory, despite pollsters calling the election a coin flip. Manesa Dhanabalan joins us off the top with that story. And Dutch authorities say Israeli fans were assaulted after a soccer game in Amsterdam by mobs apparently riled up by calls to target Jewish people. 5 people were treated at hospitals and dozens were arrested after the attacks. Jason Gaidola joins us with that later on. But we start we start with the presidential election, obviously. Months, years, I feel like we've been talking about this forever. It's all over. It's done.
Yeah.
Relatively drama-free because it was such a convincing victory. Before we get into it, I need to, we have a pretty good sibling, you're like a little sister that annoys me type thing, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like we fight,
Yes.
we bicker.
Yes.
I'm about to say something very nice. So you have done a fantastic job this week.
Oh.
Because we're short-staffed on Trending Now. But you've done a fantastic job.
Thank
and I want to
you.
acknowledge the amazing work you've done getting a show to air every single night in what has been the craziest week of news, probably, presidential election wise.
Yep.
So I'm only going to say this once. Great job. You really did a great job. And that's not to say it wasn't without some stressful moments, though.
Yeah, I definitely had some
You made it
moments.
to Friday. You haven't done the show yet. We haven't done the show, so you haven't really finished it. But you really did do a great job, Manesa.
Thank you so much.
And you are doing a great job hosting, too. So I
Thank
want to
you.
publicly say that. So now it's on record.
It's on record
So
that you were
now
nice to
I
me.
was nice to you,
Yeah.
at least at one point. On that note, the election.
So much to talk about.
Okay, where do you want to go?
Okay, so first of all, we were talking about this earlier about the polls, and everyone thought that, sometimes Harris had the lead or sometimes Trump had the lead. I think even there were moments where Trump had the lead. And they were like, okay, it's going to be like a race that's neck and neck. And then none of that ended up happening.
It wasn't.
So it was like the Democrats were clearly thrown off. But it's just so crazy because there's so much reaction that's still pouring out.
Yeah.
And I just don't even know where to start, actually, to be honest.
So, yeah, I mean, and listen, I'll be honest, too. I've obviously been on this show, and I've had opinions about things, and I've had opinions about Trump, and, I've sat here and said, I don't understand it. And I still don't understand it.
Yeah.
But he's the winner.
Yeah.
More Americans voted for him than for Kamala Harris. I don't understand that country. And I'll be honest, I went to our boss before the show today. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. What am I supposed to say, watcher, viewer?
Okay, here's a fact that I'm going to say.
Okay.
He was convicted on 34 felony counts of falsifying documents.
Yeah.
He's now elected for a second term. That's all I'm going to say.
So our boss, printed out this article, got me to read it. Dave Froome, he's a longtime speechwriter. He's a Republican. He's Canadian, though. This first paragraph really sums it up pretty well. It's in The Atlantic. Trump won, now what? Donald Trump has won and will become president for the second time. Those who voted for him will now celebrate their victory. The rest of us need to prepare to live in a different America. A country where millions of our fellow citizens voted for a president who knowingly promotes hatred and division, who lies blatantly, shamelessly, every time he appears in public, who plotted to overturn an election in 2020, and had he not won, was planning to try again in 2024. I'll continue. Above all, we must learn to live in America where an overwhelming number of our fellow citizens have chosen a president who holds the most fundamental values and traditions of our democracy, our Constitution, and even our military in contempt. And we really don't know, what's going to happen until it happens, right? So there's President Biden is still president. Kamala Harris is still vice president. Donald Trump is president-elect. He will be sworn in on January 20th. But we're already seeing it. Calls with Benjamin Netanyahu. I think there was a Zelensky call this week that Elon Musk was on. And there's that factor, too.
Elon Musk is going to play a role here, too. Yeah,
right?
That's something that we have to all digest.
And I have friends who are like Elon Musk super fans. And again, I don't get it. I don't get the appeal of Donald Trump. I genuinely don't get it. And I've said that, how you can line up two people, listen to what she says, like just listen to them, and then listen to what he says.
Yeah.
And pick him. And, you know, I came in here Wednesday, and I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched the speeches. I haven't watched, like, it's just kind of, I've just come to accept the fact that it happened. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I could have done about it. Donald Trump's going to be president for 4 years, maybe, unless he's impeached, unless something happens. He is 78 years old. Like, I genuinely don't know what I can take away from this election. What did you take away from this election?
So when I was going through a lot of the voters, right? Like I was looking through what they were saying before they were going to go vote, after they voted, when he won. And a lot of the things that seemed to kind of keep happening was that people were pointing out that Harris wasn't really highlighting policies enough, and that he was. That's what they're saying. This is not what I'm saying. This is what they're saying. And then there was also the other aspect of people are also afraid now how much hatred is going to be promoted. There's those people as well. There was also the whole border situation as well. And then, you know, there's a lot of things going on there. And people are worried. People are happy and celebrating. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, neither do I.
I don't know where to like wrap my head around all this.
I mean, like it's like this week's kind of been a blur. I'm going to be honest. And again, I've probably paid too much attention to what happens in the States the last 8 years. So I don't know if this is like all right, red flag, just whatever. It's America. Stop watching the news in America. Focus on what's going on here. But it's one of those things that like, I really don't know what to expect. Like, I think people forget what happened 4 years ago, and, you know, he was impeached twice. You know, and that's the other thing. He's more popular now than he was when he was impeached. Or when he left office. You know, the thing is, though,
I don't even know if they forgot, because that's one of the things that was being said during the campaigns. Like, that was like every single thing that was against him was being repeated all the time to help their campaign. Yeah. Right? Like, so I don't even know if it's a sense of forgetting. It's just, So the one thing is the numbers, like, Kamala Harris did worse than Joe Biden did, first of all. So there's going to be that discussion. Should Joe Biden have left the race in the first place? And there's a general sense that, and you and I have talked about this, that there's enough. I'm not saying all of America is sexist. I'm not saying all of America is racist. I'm saying there's enough sexist people in America. There's enough racist people in America that could have swung the election. And I just think I think that's a fact. And I know that that's probably doesn't make any sense to say I think it's a fact, but I think we saw it with Latin voters. I was watching a lot of coverage afterwards that said, like, there were a lot of Latin men who are, you know, the men of the households who just who just will never vote for a woman. Yeah. And, you know, I don't know how you feel about that, but like, again, I'm not calling America racist. I'm not calling it sexist. I'm saying there's enough people who could have swung this election for Donald Trump. That's what I noticed too. Like, it just speaks volumes to like wake up and see that happen. It just shows it's 2024. Yep. And that's the case. That seems to be the case.
It's 2024. We'll see. Donald Trump has the potential to appoint two or more Supreme Court justices. So he will have a profound impact. Donald Trump, a two-term president, will have a profound impact. And then there's discussion, does he leave in 4 years?
And okay.
Nobody's asked him. Nobody's talked about it. Does he leave in 4 years, or does he think he can run for another term?
And the other thing is, his cases are probably going to get thrown out now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
Jack
like
Smith
everything
today.
They went through to like convict him. He's supposed to be sentenced in November.
I like genuinely, as a news person, as somebody who has like a little tiny platform here, like I'm just generally just so. Like, I don't know.
You have a platform here?
Well, I think this show is kind of technically a platform. I can talk. I can give my opinion. Not too much opinion.
Doesn't mean people want to listen to it. I'm joking. I'm sorry. I was just trying to be mean.
Dozens of listeners are offended by that.
I was just, no. That was a shot at you. I'm sorry. I was just kidding.
I know. I'm just genuinely, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why he won. I don't know why more people like him. And I don't know. It's on me to learn why people like him. It's definitely on the Democrats.
I don't know
right?
if we're going to ever. It's
definitely on the Democrats to learn why people like him and they didn't like Kamala Harris. I think it's too early to really say anything about him winning other than the fact that he won.
Yeah, he won. And I think there's a lot of fear. Because for somebody to go and then them to get convicted, and there's a lot of things that were happening against him. So I think people now are worried. Like, what's going to happen to them, right? Like, there's so much fear, I feel.
He also has this, I just mentioned the Supreme Court. He can appoint, 2 more members. I'm sure he'll get Clarence Thomas to retire, somebody else to retire as well. Appoint some young person who's going to serve there for 20, 30, 40 years. The Supreme Court has said that a president is immune.
Yeah.
They've said that. The president is immune. As part of these trials. So now he knows that going into office. It's going to be interesting. And we'll be covering it here on Trending Now. Right?
Interesting.
I don't know, Manesa.
I don't know
I'm
either.
I'm sitting here telling you, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm sure that doesn't make for a good podcast.
I know. I feel the same way too, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, even when you said we're going to talk about this today, I was like, I'm at a loss of words. Like, it's just, I think we're all in shock.
I don't get it.
Just like comedians said, like Jimmy Kimmel. Colbert, like there was this like depressiveness among the media, which again, maybe that's it. Maybe people are just anti-media and that's not good for us either. Yeah.
Right? Like, people don't trust media, which is great.
We're screwed, Louie. I'm joking.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Manesa. That's a very pleasant way to end this conversation.
I'm joking.
Listen, Greg, if you're listening to this, I told you I didn't know what I was going to say. That's what I got from you. Manesa, Dhanabalan, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
All right, Jason Gaidola coming up right now as we continue our discussion. And really, on Trending Now this week, there were really only 2 topics of conversation, one being Monday, Tuesday, leading up to the election, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Post-election, there's been world leaders who have reached out. All the pieces are online at Trending Now's YouTube page, so go check out all our coverage. And for more on this, for a different perspective, Jason Gaidola is sitting alongside us. We're going to get to Israel in just a second. The riots in Amsterdam, obviously, a lot of people going back to previous riots that preceded some pretty tragic events. But Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So as somebody who says I don't get it, I've said that. I just said that with Misa. I don't understand. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised Tuesday night. I was pretty.
Well, he lost the previous election, so he's shown to be beatable.
So he lost the previous election. He also lost the popular vote in 2016. He won the popular vote this year, the first Republican president to win, first Republican candidate to win the popular vote since, I think it was like 2004 or something like that.
Defies logic, eh?
It does, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it really, I think it's a very layered, when I truly believe a lot of people just don't. I think there's a lot of people just don't get it. And when I say that they don't get it is, and again, I'm not for Donald Trump. I'm not Republican. I'm not a Democrat either. I'm not even for Democrats either. Yeah. I really think that we're living in a day where we're becoming so polarized in our own beliefs that it's just emboldening people to go further on the fringes. And I just think
scary.
Well, it's scary because I think people forget. There's a severe lack of civility today, and people become less civilized when they panic, right?
Yeah.
And now the panic's kicking in. It's like, oh my God. And my only answer to him winning is that I think there's just maybe there's the priorities. It's getting to the point where times are getting much tougher, and identity politics are just not going to work. It just doesn't work. And the difference from campaigning is that I don't think either of them campaigned that well.
No.
A lot of people were saying, "Oh, they had a great campaign." I'm like,
his rallies were empty, right? There's a lot of empty
but so was
seats.
Harris too. Yeah. I don't think Harris had a great campaign too. And the difference is that, and this is what I do get about Americans is that Kamala Harris she was too evasive. She couldn't answer. She couldn't really answer questions. Donald Trump could lie through his face, but the difference is that he was continuously direct with people, and whether it was the truth or not, people just resonate towards that. And I think that's where a lot of people just don't get it. And I'm sorry to say it, but that's just it. Say what you want about it, but that is I think that's what's happened, and they just don't care. They just don't care.
What is Dana White doing right there? At his presidential acceptance,
Dana White's probably getting the bag,
and
the envelopes.
If you're listening to this, we got a picture of Donald Trump on the stage after he won. You got Lara Trump, whatever her name is, wife of Eric, but she's also the RNC chair, I believe she is. So it goes Lara Trump, Eric Trump, Dana White.
Yeah,
but again,
I
Dana
don't
White,
know.
Elon Musk, Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan, they could have swung this, right? Joe Rogan sat with Trump for 3 hours. Like that.
Yeah.
That
he
was,
also offered Kamala Harris to go on his podcast
Absolutely.
too, and she declined.
She should have taken him
I don't know. At the end of the day, it's just. I don't know. I think deep down inside, he's I think he's going to be a ratings bonanza for our news stations, because he's probably going to say something something crazy every day. And
Donald Trump has gotten what he's wanted since he, reading about him since he came on the scene in New York in the 80s. Tabloids, everybody is talking about him. He is the world's most famous man, and so he won. Donald Trump won.
People get intoxicated with it because he just riffs. It's just riffing, and he can do it for an hour, and he did hundreds of rallies. It's just how could he just continuously do this? And it's funny how you can go to that rally and say absolutely nothing for 1 hour, and people just eat it up. And it's just
get it.
I get it, but I don't get it. I'm with you in the realm of I don't get it why people just don't people don't see through. There's no substance to it. They don't notice the substance, but I do get it where it's just. I don't know. Maybe they just voted for him because they're entertained by it. I think
it's the substance entertainment that's fine, but the things that he says that are patently false.
Yeah.
How can you? Well, yeah. He's lying to you.
Oh yeah.
But he's doing it because there's no explanation.
A huge liar.
As for why he's lying to you.
Because he knows he can. He knows.
Well, it's not going away. We're going to be talking about Trump for the rest of our lives. So. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister of the Netherlands says he is, was that right? The Prime Minister? Dutch PM.
Yeah.
So Prime Minister of the Netherlands.
Yes.
He says he's ashamed by the Amsterdam attacks on Israeli soccer fans. Tell us a little bit about what happened last night.
It was it was a jarring scene. I mean, this is not your typical hooliganism in soccer. It is jarring because, I mean, talk about escalation. How we're starting. I think we're starting to see we're starting to see things get the limits being pushed here, and I think at the end of the day, I mean, I think authorities in a lot of countries especially here in Canada, they're kind of at the crossroads. They how much more. How much further are they willing to go to protect people from either just riots and dangerous assembly, targeting? It's a hard thing to do, but I'm sure I'm sure a lot of like security authorities, they're going to have to take a hard look on how are we going to keep society safe, and I'm sure this probably spills over into politics and who you vote for and all that stuff. But that's what's boiling down to, is that when we're seeing more and more of this stuff, and you can probably tie this into the States and Trump and all that stuff, but like it's going to come down to like, are people going to be able to afford life? Are people going to be able to know that they can be safe? So, these are like Maslow hierarchy of needs we're talking here. Like it's getting to that point. Yeah. And it's a troubling scene, and and a lot of debate on whether Maccabi Tel Aviv should have been in it, because they banned Russian teams not to be participate in the UEFA competitions. They allowed the Tel Aviv. I mean, be that as it may, how you debate it, I don't know.
Right. Russian unprovoked attack on Ukraine.
It's
just Israel obviously defending themselves for October 7th.
This could be a game changer in regards to how countries are going to start screening people, visitors, and start how they deploy their law enforcement on these events. Because when you get so many people in all one place, there's always going to be a security risk, and that's going to be much heightened. I really don't know the answer, but something intelligent, something sophisticated, not just brute force, but something sophisticated has to be done to kind of quell this, right?
Maybe it's Trump, right?
He's a peacemaker.
Maybe it's Trump. He
acts like a dictator, but he says, "I'm going to make peace."
Listen, there's a lot of things, and like even rational. I've been in more than a couple of group text messages group chats where you say something about Trump, and you're like, well, maybe he's on to something. I don't know.
Trump is like a cartoon character, and he's also like a WWE character. He can literally say, "I'm going to do this," and then the next day he's like, "You know what? This is not so bad. I won't do anything." He leaves that unpredictability on deliberate. I know we're going back to Trump, but that's what it is, though. But if he thinks he can end something, man, do it then.
The one thing about Trump that people have said that I've read about is that he will always listen to the last person who speaks to him. So if you're the last person to put an idea into his head before he goes out and does something, that's the idea he's going to go with. And it's
great. Good.
Maybe why Dana White was on the main stage. Didn't see Elon Musk there. Could get into the whole Elon Musk thing too. Twitter obviously played a huge role in this election. And that was the other thing. The 2020 election, there were hearings on did Twitter interfere in the presidential election. Here we had the owner of Twitter amplifying Republican voices,
it's not
amplifying his own voice.
It's not just that. I think there's a serious shadow banning
100%
effort, but let's be fair. The shadow banning's been going on. I'm sure a lot of it had to do in the previous election.
Now that it's Elon Musk running the show,
even pre-Musk, I'll have to disagree with you there.
Right.
The shadow banning's been a big thing for quite a few years now.
The amplification of Republican voices on Twitter. Like, I've thought about quitting Twitter. Could you quit Twitter?
No.
Would you quit Twitter? No.
No. I'm less active on it. I mean, I watch it, but active as in meaning
posting,
me being proactive in terms of
joining conversations.
We
use it as reporters, we need it.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's because it's not really.
I'd love to quit Twitter. There's not
substance there, right?
I'd love to quit social media in general, though.
Yeah, I literally watch it for like in news, and that's it. That's all I pretty much.
But then again, even like that For You page, you find like these weird things that I don't know. I'd love to quit social media, but in this job, that'd be pretty difficult to do.
It's hard.
You got big plans for the weekend?
No.
Isn't that great?
Football, actually. I'm excited for this weekend of football.
Bills and Colts.
Yes, sir.
We had a great start yesterday. How about that game last night? Did you win any money?
No. No, I didn't. I didn't participate last night, but I did watch it. It was something to watch in the second half.
I gave Manesa her props this week too. I got to give you your props too. You and Emily Taylor Tuesday night.
Oh, thanks.
Great job with the live show.
It was fun.
And even all this week. I know you guys are short-staffed on Trending now, so, buddy, great job.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, I'm giving out props. Matt as well. Matt Ingram, our anchor.
Yeah.
He's been pulling his weight and then some.
He's a trooper.
Andy's sick. Andy's doing double duty. So shout out, Matt, if you're listening. Great job this
working
week.
hard.
Everybody's working. Actually,
really
everybody in that newsroom, here's your props on the Trending Now podcast from Louie, because I see it, right? What else do I do? I just sit here and watch everybody else and then do this podcast once a week. All right, Jason Gaidola, thanks to him. Once again, shout out to everybody in the newsroom this week. Great work. Shout out to Justin Peeler for directing today's episode. Hey, make sure you like and subscribe to all of our Trending Now social media channels. And that includes on YouTube and X at Trending Now CHCH. And while you're liking, subscribing, make sure you like and subscribe to CHCH Podcast. You never miss an episode of this show or any of the other great shows we have for you, including Bubba O'Neill, Sportsline. He and Gareth Wheeler teeing up a huge CPL Finals tomorrow. Go Forge FC. And also congratulations, Bobby Smirniotis, Tristan Borges, and Boku, I think, was the U21 Player of the Year. So lots of Forge awards won last night. Have a great weekend, everybody. From all of us here at CHCH, I'm Louie Butko. Take care.